Alright, so let's see if this works now. I've been getting a lot of crashes, and it could just be my display or something, but Path of Exile just crashes the desktop, and it's kind of weird. So, I'm just gonna go through this again. So, I played, starting a little late in the league. I tried to play a good bit this week just to get to 82 and kind of give my update on how league start went with Charge Dash. And overall, it was decent. My big failing was switching to CI too early. I switched to CI right after Axe at level 70, and I only had 3,000 energy shield. So, and I didn't have any leech yet, so I just died a whole lot in early maps, like tier 2, 3 maps. So I just had to play a little more careful. Did a lot of tier 1 maps, like more than normal, I think. But yeah, just took it easy. Was a little bit slower because I did that. I think if you don't switch over, I had 2,700 life, 2,500 energy shield, so what, 5,000 EHP, and switched down to 3,000, which was just a bad choice. So I've been pretty much spending currency as I get it. A lot of these purchases were real cheap though. At level, or in Act 4, I got the starter one, the Hand of Thought in Motion, for 1 chaos. Again, I think it's a little bit more day 1, but I got there day 2, just because I hadn't been playing much. And then it was 3 chaos for the Blessing of Esh to upgrade it. So overall this was 4, the gold was 1, its Ares Mirror was 1. I found the Bronze Lith and 4-linked it. The Shaper's Touch, because it's poorly corrupted, was 2. Sintrek was 3. So just little bits and pieces here and there. Mostly I'd found a couple chaos, and that kind of kick-started this thing in tier 1 maps. It's nice because Volcano map is a tier 1 map, and I happened to find one of the Combs Heart divination cards I sold for, I don't know, 8 or 10 chaos or something. So, and then just, I usually don't sell stuff for 1 chaos, but I was doing that, and then converted a bunch of alts to get another like 20 chaos. So I spent 22 chaos for Estramentis. So total, all this stuff is about 40, and I just recently got the coil and the Syntrex. Estramentis makes things a lot smoother, but you can use any other amulet with stats. I mean, if you can find one. But the big one was getting Hand of Wisdom in action. Like the earlier the better, because you're stacking in. Without it, you need to like find a really good claw, ideally with flat lightning damage on it. But this makes your passive tree just easier. So I guess big things for future for anyone else, just don't switch to CI too early. Even now at 4,000, it's a little iffy, but I'll show my setup right now. So, alright, so how I pathed was touch these first and hit this in, and then I went and got these resists pretty early. Because these nodes are strong, you get 12 all resist here and a lot of all resist through these block nodes. So that was nice. My resists have been higher. This also gives 8 all resist. So this Templar area gives a lot of resist. It helps with strength requirements early before you get this brute force solution jewel. You get to get elemental overload on the way. So that pathing, it's not the worst, but you end up with so much just in here, and you can see I don't have the block nodes yet or glancing blows. Partly because I just committed to these, trying to hit more int versus going more block, just to push my energy shield up a little bit. So I mentioned leech, And because RAS is kind of low right now, Wicked Ward is a little unreliable. I think with Heist, the Heist setup too, like the Wicked Ward and not taking damage for a bit is harder or a little less reliable. So I ended up dropping the 3 points for Ghost Reaver and dropping these like 10 points to get Soul Raker with the leech here. It's a good amount of leech, and then these are nice attack speed nodes. The rest of this is all pretty standard. Like this gives resist, ES, and evasion. You kind of want the reduced mana reserve from these. And this all gets converted to int with Fertile Mind. So I went this way first, and then down here for the most part, and then just picked up these and just started doing this jewel up here. This cluster jewel was it's pretty lucky, but super lucky. I bought because I like more small passives on it. I got this for 1 chaos, the lightning damage with 11 passives with item level 84, so that I had the chance to roll the 8 intelligence. And then I just alt spammed it with less than 100 alts, hitting 8 intelligence and 25% increased effect. Regaled it with the perfect would have been the supercharge, but we got Disoriented Display, which is fine. Blind adds another defensive layer, and maybe at some point in the future we get supercharge. I didn't realize that supercharge, I don't know if it's always been, but right now it's the lowest weighted thing, so it's the hardest mod to get on this, the hardest affix to get. But so you can see here with the 2, the 8 and 25% increased effect, each of these points becomes 10 int, 15% lightning damage. Just making these probably the most efficient points we can take. Because the stuff down here we're taking is like 10, that's 20 and like nothing. This ends up some utility stuff with 20 strength in it. So if you compare just any of the stuff that we're grabbing, they're equal or less than what these nodes are. So I don't know. So it seems good. Maybe it's less good. And then the thought is eventually I'll drop these once my ES gets higher, and so I picked up these jewels with attack speed. So I'll run a map real quick. I don't even have any tier 6 maps. So drops this league have been kind of awful for me. Like I've used most of my my sextants and trying to mostly use them on the higher tier maps, but I've just kind of run out. I guess I could do this on a mission here and it'll refresh, and hopefully I'll get some yellow maps from her. But so this is tier 5, and I guess I'm a little higher leveled, 82, but I think it's just kind of been on not getting as much gear. Like we just need to get pieces. But Charge Dash, if you haven't seen it before, you hold right click and run your clone ahead of you, and then it pulses along that line, and then you teleport to it. So the playstyle, once you get used to controlling the clone a little bit, feels really smooth. I mean, if your damage is lacking, you'll end up sitting there a while a lot of times. But once your damage gets to where you can kill stuff like reasonably well, then it just gets really smooth, because you run forward, the stuff dies, you teleport to where your clone is. There's a little bit of jumping back if stuff ends up behind you, but We're using Wave of Conviction with Curse on Hit conductivity, and that's mostly just for the single target. I don't think I've done laboratory yet. So that helps with single target. At some point we'll get Fortify. Well, maybe, because I thought Whirling Blades, normally Whirling Blades is your best bet. It gives consistent Fortify, it's really fast because we scale attack speed pretty well. But then playing through Heist, those blue mines on the ground, I think Whirling Blades just runs over all of them. So there's a lot of cases where you don't want to be using Whirling Blades. And Charge Dash gets over the mines. Maybe I'll show a Heist at some point. I'll probably put that in a separate video, like running Heist. So, yeah, I guess I've played this enough to where it just feels really normal. But if you haven't played Charge Dash, I'd recommend it. To me, it's very fun. It's not the jump and shoot. You can use Charge Dash for almost all your movement. Dash ends up a little bit quicker, like just the dash skill, if there's no enemies to kill. But otherwise, you're just running through Charge Dash. Thought I was gonna die there. Since it's a channeling skill, we'll eventually start generating Frenzy and Power Charges with Trickster. So that's also a nice consistent damage bonus increase. It makes Elemental Overload a little more consistent because of the Power Charges. Abysses are a little rough sometimes since we stand still so much. Feel like I cut most of this out of a video. I don't know, videos of people just running maps seem so, I don't know, maybe dull. But maybe you want to see how this thing plays. So, in terms of damage, honestly, Charge Dash is a little bit lacking compared to some other skills. If you're used to playing like the super meta, like, I mean, even just taking Cyclone and looking at Cyclone, Charge Dash is generally a little bit less damage than that. Than like a good Cyclone build. But I think just the smoothness of Charge Dash makes up for it. The other downside is the standing still, which sometimes is awful, but a lot of times it's fine. Partly because we're standing still, but it's not necessary. Like, you can pop around like that, and it doesn't lower your DPS too bad, because that pop does increase damage. That final teleport. I'm not gonna double run maps for this. We did the one. I'll come back to that later. I'm not gonna sell stuff right now. So that's basically it. I'll probably put another video out specifically for Heist. But you can see the 4,000 energy shield isn't the worst. So far I've done up to tier 7 maps, and there's some instances where you can get one shot. I think glancing blows will help with that after we get the couple spell block points. But like largely, as long as you're jumping every couple seconds on maps where there's like large clusters of range things, where you're at big risk of being one shot, then you're mostly staying alive. And again, it's a lot of it's due to the trickster stuff. Like the ghost route is nice damage reduction, and you can't get stunned, and then you get back the 4% of evasion as energy shield. Maybe I'll talk about that. So I mentioned the wave of conviction, conductivity, hex touch. So that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just reduced lightning resist. This gives vulnerability to lightning. This dash with second wind. You can see I'm missing a lot of gems. If you've watched any of my videos before, that's pretty common. So our auras right now, our Herald of Thunder is damage. This would be Purity of Elements, but right now we don't have Enlighten, so this fits with the 25%, whereas Purity of Elements is 35%. So even right now it's kind of silly. Well, that, one second. I have a good chunk of resist missing, which would be filled out by that. I could get better rings potentially, but I'm just, again, have been spending pretty much all my chaos as I get them. But that's probably the next thing that needs to happen. And then the other auras, Discipline, really straightforward. It's a huge chunk of energy shield. Without it, we're at 2,900. With it, we're at 3,900. So, self-explanatory. Grace, same idea, but it's a huge chunk of evasion. And even though that looks like only like 10% chance to evade attacks with it on, the big thing we're getting from it is that Trickster 4% of evasion gained as energy shield. So between gaining energy shield when we get hit from our ghost charges, which 4% of 34,000 is like 1,300. So between getting 1,300 when we get hit from that, and then our bit of energy shield leech from Ghost Reaver, we're pretty good at like staying topped off, or like popping back up if we get hit by something big. So, I mean that's the basic concept. There's a lot more you can do with the gems. Obviously, getting this to 6 link is huge damage increase. Ideally, we get all of our auras in a helm, like a Vertex helm that gives +1 with an Enlightened gem. Like that's going to let us use Purity of Elements and just give us more energy shield from Discipline and more evasion from Grace. Getting these swapped out for something better, something that gives more, like Vertex is going to be a whole bunch more evasion and like 100 more flat energy shield. And then Bronze Lith, if we switch it out for Atziri's Splendor, is going to be like 200 flat energy shield. So if we make those two changes, that'll be like 1,500 flat energy shield, and even more once we get more int going. So those are kind of like the upgrade paths at this point, and it's just a matter of finding enough chaos to be able to afford things. And Vertex is like 100 something chaos right now, and it always goes down quite a bit as the league goes on. I imagine within the next week it's going to be closer to 70, depending on what builds are popular. So yeah, I don't want to ramble on too long about this, but that's where the build's at right now. And I think as a league start, it's not the worst. I think it's the upgrade paths are easy, at least. Like the uniques are fairly cheap, and that's why I like this non-crit version. The uniques are cheap and easy to get around the first week of the league, and it's pretty consistent. Like you're not so all in on crit where if you don't have enough damage you're just dying too easy. You're more relying on this grace ghost shroud getting you back evasion. So yeah, for the 5th time, yeah, that's pretty much the build, or the progress so far. I'll probably play it a little bit more, but I want to try some poison assassin something. I did pestilent strike a little bit last league, but didn't have a chance to play it a lot, mostly because I think pestilent strike was just making stuff lag a little more on my laptop. So now that I have a PC, we should be in the clear to try that. But yeah, thanks guys, and I'll catch you later. I'll probably keep the stream on and just run some more maps, maybe Heist, but that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later.